This is the Sony FX3, which in most people's opinion is one of the best cinema cameras for the money. Whether you're making YouTube videos like this one or working on high-end client projects, it can do it all. But in today's day and age, with more and more content being consumed on mobile devices, normal viewers and even commercial projects are asking for videos to be shot and delivered in vertical orientation. That's why today I am proud to introduce to you the ultimate vertical rig for the Sony FX3. Or FX30 if that's what tickles your fancy. Let's get into it. Okay, so some of you may have seen my FX3/FX30 rig video I put out a few weeks back. This one is similar, but has a few key modifications, and most notably is designed to be rigged vertically. I'll also note that everything discussed here will be linked in the description below. If you don't know where to look, it's under the subscribe button. Okay, so let's start with the cage itself. I am using the small rig cage. Reason being that it gives the most modularity and access to all of the FX3's buttons. None of the tally lights are blocked, which you actually couldn't say the same for a lot of other cages out there. It fits nicely in the hand, and we're gonna make very good use of the NATO rails and multiple mounting points on here in just a second. As I screw in all the screws, I'll mention that another reason I love this cage is that it has multiple anchor points into the camera itself. Not including the top rail, we have 3 points, meaning it's not slipping around and everything is staying all nice and sturdy, which is one of the most important things when building out a rig like this. We'll also want to make sure that we use the included top NATO rail that goes over the top hot shoe area, and we'll see why in just a second. Next, we're going to take an Arca Swiss plate, and it doesn't actually matter which one it is specifically, but the thing that you do need to pay attention to is making sure that it's one that has 2 mounting screws. If you don't, it's gonna get all loose like the time I left my pet snail's cage open when I was a kid. Just poor Scooter, man. He just didn't even see that car coming. Anyways, we're going to take this and mount it to the right-hand grip side of the rig. This one here that I'm using came with the VMount plate that we're about to attach. So this here that we're using is the compact VMount mounting system. And the reason that we're using this one is fourfold. First, it's actually super affordable at only $89. Compare this to any of the other individual components you'd need to build out the same functionality. You need to buy rods, V-mount plates, quick releases, etc. This is actually better value than anything on the dollar menu these days, because, you know, like inflation or whatever. Second is the form factor. I mean, look how small this thing is compared to what we would build out with the same functionality using rods and plates and things. This actually helps loads for shooting in the vertical orientation, since it allows the camera to sit a little more lower profile. When we're shooting vertically, that's actually a huge benefit because we don't have this massive wobbly tipping tower of a rig. Third is the quick release function on this thing is sick. There's an Arca quick release plate that attaches itself to the rig itself and then locks in here nice and sturdy with no tools, no thumb screws or anything like that. You've also got the adjustable quick release on the back to adjust how far the V-mount battery is from the camera. When I'm shooting vertically, I have this set all the way back to help with balance. And you also have this little twist knob on here, which allows you to tilt back the battery plate, and then that allows you to tilt out the FX3's tilt screen. This also allows you to set it down on the ground since it has these nice little feet on the bottom here to help with balance. Whether you're an Arca Swiss or a Manfrotto kind of cat, that's completely up to you. The mounting system has a built-in Arca Swiss on it, but then there are also 5 different screw options on the bottom of that if you want to add a Manfrotto plate as well. Once this is on, I'll add my V-mount battery. This one is also from Small Rig, which I sort of have a love-hate relationship with. Mostly love, a little bit of hate. As is the name of the game with this rig, there's a ton of versatility when it comes to the power delivery. There's USB-C, USB-A, D-tap, 12 volt, 8 volt, and then you can also charge it with USB-C as well. Lots of other V-mount batteries out there require you to use a D-tap to charge the thing, and I just don't want to have to carry around a D-tap charger. I'd much prefer, especially when traveling, to just have one USB-C that can charge just about everything that I own. It also charges super fast. You can simultaneously charge and discharge. There's a digital screen to tell you how much battery it's outputting and the battery percentage that's left. But the downside is this 99 watt hour version of their V-mount is also $280. Which is a lot. And their cheaper 50 watt hour version is $180. And like, yes, this thing is very feature rich, but you kind of have to be richy rich in order to purchase it. There are a lot of other just as capable V-mount batteries out there, and I will link to those in the description. For the lens, I'm using the Sony 24-70 G Master version 2. This is my all-time favorite lens, and I use it in about 90 to 95% of all of my shoots. All right, so moving over to the grip positions. I've gone with the wooden NATO top handle and wooden NATO side handle. I really like NATO handles since they're super easy to attach, can be mounted in multiple places super easily, and they don't require any tools or anything like that. For the top handle, we're actually going to be attaching that to the integrated NATO rail on the what would have been the left side of the cage. And then we're going to use what would have been the side handle on what would have been the top of the cage, that top NATO rail. So we're going to swap where those are. This gives us a few different options of how we want to handle the rig. You can put your left hand on the top handle and your right hand on the side handle, and while holding it this way, you can actually just hit the record button with your little pinky, or you can place your right hand on the top handle and your left hand can support the lens. That gives you access to the front record button. For the monitor, I am using the Atomos Ninja V, and personally, I think that this is like bringing a nuke to a Super Soaker fight. It's complete overkill. It's heavy, it's bulky. I don't use 80% of the functions, but I had it from back in the days when we only had 8-bit on the A7S3, and this is just still sort of the brightest monitor that I have, so it remains the one that I use. I'll link to a bunch of other options down in the description below as well. However, one thing that is absolutely pivotal in the monitor setup, in my mind, is this little friction arm here. It has RE locating pins on both sides to keep everything, again, nice and tight, as is the theme of this rig, and it allows you to adjust the position of the monitor all over the place. The real reason it's so key, however, is that we're able to swivel the monitor to orient vertically. I personally find that positioning it to the left of the rig allows for it to be a lot more balanced. I then use a clean HDMI output from the FX3 to the monitor to get the full resolution there, and then I'll use the flip out screen for the menus and the touch functionality. For my ND filter, I use the Polar Pro PMVID, aka the Peter McKinnon edition of the variable ND filter. I like the 2 to 5 stop mist edition as it gives a very subtle amount of bloom and halation, and then of course the variable ND functionality is there as well. Lastly, we gotta hook everything together. So I use an HDMI from the monitor, and then a dummy battery from the monitor to the 8-volt on the VMount. And then I also have a second dummy battery that goes from the FX3 to the D-tap on the VMount. And with the 99 watt-hour V-mount, we can run this thing all day long. I mean, just think of how many TikToks you could record on this thing. It's crazy. For audio, if I'm doing run and gun, I'll often just do the Deity D4 Duo for some decent scratch audio on the right side handle. And then other times I'll run the Rode Wireless Go 2 on, again, that little cold shoe mount here so that I can run a lav mic to myself or onto my talent. And bingo bango, we have a fully functional vertical rig, which is great since so many clients are increasingly looking for more vertical content more and more often. A reminder that everything discussed here will be linked in the description below, so go check those out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.